My name is Bernard Kujo from Volta River Authority. My first issue will be a clarification on some information that Uncle Fred included or indicated in his presentation, that VRA was part of organizations who had some overstay containers in the past. That was due to some stoppage that we had in the past of our projects that we had. Stoppage. That is a thermal power project. In fact, it was ongoing, but when it was changed in government, we were asked to stop. That's from 2012 to 2016. So the containers were in the port for so many years until the issues were resolved before we were given the go-ahead. So I even had to go to GPHA for some waivers, and even we're thankful to God that the containers were shippers owned, so no demurrage. So that was the issue. Now my question has to do with the auctioning, notice to importers prior to auction. In fact, last year, 2 of our shipments were auctioned at the airport, and we were not informed at all that, prior to auction. Only that we were there around November, December, and the person who purchased the equipment called us from Medina that he has our items and then we should come and inspect them. But thank God that our items cannot be sold on the open market. So he bought the items from the airport, but he cannot do anything with them. These are thermal parts. So when we had to negotiate with him, and the value of the item was 20,000 euro. And when we started negotiating, I started from 20,000, we bargained, then finally he agreed to 10,000. So my guess was that he bought it less than 10,000. You know, this 20,000 euro item. And we had VRA stickers all over. And Customs could not call VRA prior to the auction that VRA, we are about to auction this item, please come and process within 2 weeks, and somebody bought it. You know, and this happened twice, one to our hydro equipment. And these are very, very sensitive equipment that we import. You see, the problem is that VRA, we have a lot of service agreements with a lot of OEMs. Some of them is a standing order. So some of the items will come without our knowledge. You know, that's how it comes. The one that we procure ourselves, we are able to follow. But some of the times, often our suppliers will ship straight to the plant. You look at the maintenance schedules and then they ship in advance. So my advice to Customs is that in the past you were doing that, but along the lines like you have stopped. Anytime you want to auction, please give a last-minute warning to the importers where you have the addresses boldly written so that we can react quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm George Oni from Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. In Brother Fred's presentation, he made a remark that he wished the UCL would be given to a different entity. It is because Customs, I think they need to strengthen that department. Because when we give them the UCL list every month, they will move some and leave some. The ones they have moved and auctioned, in the next week, they will bring a letter for us to tell them where those containers are. And we get so confused more of the time. As I speak, there's a container in Golden Jubilee, which has a court case. But they have written a letter for us to move it to Atlas. So if that place is strengthened and they have records, and they keep records of all containers that move out, they will not come back and forth doing those things. So I think if Customs can strengthen that aspect of their activity, it will not call for us to privatize it. Because privatizing this thing is very dangerous. For me, I think it's not the best. Thank you.
My name is Henrietta Opon from Achak.
Okay,
yes. I'm talking from the point of view of the clearing agent for project cargoes. That's what I deal in. And I realized that the MDAs, most of them are not aware of the processes that they have to go through in clearing of their goods. One of the reasons why I'm saying that is that sometimes they get into some contracts, sign some contracts without even understanding what it takes when it comes to exemptions. because I understand that we have commercial loans that they normally don't give exemptions at all. Then we have concessionary loans that are partly exempted. And then there is the grants that have full exemption. I don't know, my gentleman from finance, if they have a one-on-one with the MDAs, because it's much of a challenge for them. Because when they sign these contracts, most of the time, as he said, finance is not aware. It's only when it gets to them that they find out that this is the situation, and it makes it very difficult for them to clear their goods. Apart from that, there's something they issue out, which is the liability assessment. And that liability assessment has a value. So if you have exemptions that you need to clear, you have goods that you need to clear at the port, and you have cleared up to that value, you should understand that anytime you bring in anything new, you need to pay for it. Most of them do not understand that. So they wait and go through the processes until they get to finance, and they will realize that they've exhausted their tax liability. And for that matter, it delays the things at the port. The other issue is also to do with attitude with our MDAs. They don't seem to care at all when it comes to the processes that they need to take to get their exemptions in place. So I think that's the only thing I want to add to it.
Thank you so much.
Please, my name is Leviticus George Danson. I'm from PIL. And mine is a suggestion based on the auction of containers. We've realized that when the containers are being auctioned, we will not be informed. Like during our normal routine, you pass by either state warehouse or atlas and you find the container empty. And you, the same ship line, are to bear the cost of moving the container from their yard. So I'll plead with you now, if a memo or an agreement will be sent to us, that if a box is auctioned, this percentage will go to the shipping line, so that at the end of the day, you also cut down our cost. Thank you very much.
Yes, madam.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. My name is Philip Bedumensa from ACHAC. We have all alluded to the fact that the presentation was very in-depth research and covered everything, but there is something that it failed to capture, and I would like to draw authorities' attention to it. I'm a consolidator. I work with consolidated containers. I open containers which contains vehicles and other items. On the adverse effect on the UCL, when I also open container, I use my money to pre-finance to open the container. The vehicles are out for the owners to come and clear them. If they fail to clear them and it goes on the UCL, all my money, all my capital that I put in is lost. I'm not getting it back. So it's also an adverse effect on the freight forwarder. And again, I also like to talk about, I think a similar seminar or sensitization exercise should have to be organized for importers to be sensitized on how to do the pre-arrival system. If transit time is about 30 days to 41 days, and if the vessel sails, you can get a copy bill of lading, your invoices and other things to do the pre-arrival system. I think it's about time we need to encourage our shippers and importers to also make use of the pre-arrival system to do all the necessary documentation so that on arrival of the vessels, they can get their goods cleared for it not to stay up to 60 days or 21 days for the government to take over. Thank you very much.
You mentioned grants, commercial, and concessional facilities. It is the exemption on them. They are not even automatic. They are not automatic. You have to go through the process to actually get the exemption waiver. If you don't have it, you don't have it. So what happens is that some of these MDs, they've signed a lot of grant agreement with some APs, which has tax implications. Okay, so the only time you get to know them, as you rightly mentioned, is when they have to trigger the exemption waiver. So for grants or commercial or concessional agreements, you still have to go to Parliament to get your waiver. In terms of the awareness, we've actually scheduled a meeting for next month that we still want to. We've done some earlier on, but as you said, and I'm doing some. So we'll still do more awareness creation for our MDAs, because really they are the challenge with some of these things. Thank you.
This is for Regina and Leviticus. You see, you can position a staff at Atlas, you know, so that at least the aspect of taking account of the container is empty and all that. As you do place staff at the terminals, you can do that, so that will be catered for. But that doesn't take away the fact that they should give you some part of the money that is realized.
I think it's a good advice. More or less a very good advice. Now, Customs.
I'm Foster Vosuni.
Foster?
Yes, State Warehouse in charge.
Okay.
My boss around you and somebody.
State Warehouse
place. Officer in charge, yes, Mr. Tema. And I want to answer, most we are the subject matter here today. But the fact is, we have to generate revenue for all of us. And we are talking about the UCL, that's what we are talking about.
Exactly.
Yes, they generated, especially GPHA, other terminals like REFA, they generate the UCL all right. But the problem is, they have to move they call it transfer. They have to transfer to our place of location, and mostly it's Atlas or State Warehouse. So letters are written to them for them to transfer. But because when the items, the goods get on UCL, and most of the parties, they don't have revenue interest, they delay in doing set marketing. And secondly, when you write for positioning of the container for examination, because the items have been gazetted, because maybe other things we find, because we don't have the necessary, like say stackers and those things, they have to provide this. That's why at times there were delays. And at times too, you were saying about it stays for about say 1 year or 2 years. Maybe the thing has been auctioned all right by the buyer, may 1 or 2 may decline interest. So once my boss is here, I've mentioned 1 or 2, so he will control himself.
Very interesting point here. So I just want to get it very clear, so that I align the appropriate response. It's like GPHA is not only responsible for providing the UCL list, but also responsible for the transfer. And they are only concerned with the transfer where there's revenue involved in it. No, I just want you to confirm before you react.
I'm saying that.
I want you to confirm.
What I'm saying is, they're supposed to move the container.
Not only the list, but
yes,
to move.
Yes,
as well.
And position. Position for
Mr. Chairman, we need to give the true picture here. You see, during my presentation, I said it. I made the distinction. I said that the reefer is because Atlas doesn't have reefer plug-in points, so we don't move reefers. Until recently, when overseas came and was trying to do that, we don't do that. We just give you the list and we say that we are ready for you. The day you come and you ask us at reefer, you ask us to position a container. Okay, no, because you generalize, I'm trying to clear. I'm clearing all my terminals. And I can speak for GPHA terminals. So reefer is out. Golden Jubilee, the boxes are transferred to Atlas. Atlas, containers, that is where the containers are supposed to be. So we write, and I said it earlier here in this room this morning, that when we write to AC and we receive the response from AC, Atlas also even come in, because they are now the transferring body. Atlas is very hungry, and they want the boxes to be at their end the next minute. They even chase us. They chase Golden Jubilee to make available the UCL list so that they can transfer. So if today you are telling me that a challenge is about transferring, I don't know. That one I don't know. But Atlas, GPHA does not transfer anymore. Atlas is supposed to bring their vehicles and transfer. That's why they also take the permission again to be allowed to transfer the boxes to the place. And at Atlas, I mean, it is Atlas and the Customs and the special unit or whatever is there that does the positioning. So if Atlas is having challenges positioning the boxes there, then that is a problem. But this is it. This is it. We do our best to.
Thank you, Ma.
Very interesting, yes.
And to follow up, that's about 6 months ago, we submitted this to the transfer. So yes, they have to follow. Though it's about over 100, but they have transferred some. That's what the list are following up.
No, your point is clear. Your point is very clear. Thank you very much. Her response is also very clear. Like I said, there should be proper coordination. Please. Now we'll give the floor to Abdafoti and the answer. Then that's all. The question.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. A lot has been said, and I think the ideas are just coming up. I just want to say that for now, we are not here to contest anything that is coming up from the floor and then stakeholders. We admit we have few administrative challenges with the administration of UCL, and management is taking serious look at it, and very soon some of the processes which will be documented will equally be submitted to you for you to follow in line with what we have in our Act and then the customs regulations. I just want to say that there were a few issues which also came up on the floor, and one has to do with the generation of the UCL. In fact, we've had challenges with the GCMS system because we realize that in reckoning the UCL period, we have the date of discharge. It is easier when you go into the system using GCMS to rather pick the rotation date, which always confuses almost everybody. It is the rotation date which the UCL is based on. And that is the reason why to some people it's about 60 days and the vehicle has been gazetted. To some people it's about so and so days when the goods have been gazetted. It's because while some are reckoning the UCL period from the date of discharge, others are also taking it from the date of the arrival of the vessel or the rotation number. Which is which? What is appropriate is the date of discharge, as we have it in our laws.
Noted.
And you can make reference to the generation of UCL from the Customs Act 2015 at 891, and you look at section number 52, and then you look at section 4, subsection 3. You see what is there. Now, for now, we are trying to address the issue of the generation of UCL. And currently we have the system consult that is trying to come out. It's a consultancy that they have raised, and they are trying to come out with how to help customs to generate UCL. They are working at the airport, and they are extending their work to the ports of Tema. So we'll be able to establish what must be UCL and what is not yet UCL. Then again, I go on the issue of notification and gazetting. We have a procedure for the auction of goods. It requires the generation of UCL, publication of the UCL in the commercial and industrial bulletin, which all shipping lines, and most often, those days I remember when I was there, I always urged them to get copies to know what will be auctioned. In fact, most shipping lines have been doing that, and I urge that others who have not will also take advantage of that. Then you will realize that all containers which are supposed to be auctioned are listed. In fact, it's an area that, unfortunately, people expect that it must be in the dailies. It's more expensive compared to what we have from the Ghana Publishing And then you can make reference to the commercial and industrial bulletin. You can always go for it. Now, the process of the auction, again, you know, when everything is done, we do an assessment and appraisal and we determine the reserve price. The component of the reserve price is the duty liability of the goods. Bear in mind that we auction goods to redeem the revenue, government revenue, first and foremost, before the issue of space, satisfaction of the terminals, their interest, shipping lines, etc. will come in. So the component of the reserve price is the tax liability. The tax liability, first and foremost. Any other administrative charges, rent, etc., etc. So you realize that if you want to talk about having a share in the auction consignment, first and foremost, that component is purely for government. What you can now contest is what we call the surplus proceeds, and that you can refer to the customs regulations, LI 2248 of 2016. And when you go to regulation 158, you see the customs surplus proceeds, which must be applied for within the period of 1 year. And the surplus proceeds is any excess of the determined reserve price. Let's assume that the reserve price is 20 Ghana cedis, and the things have been auctioned at 30 Ghana cedis. The surplus proceeds, per the law, belongs to the importer. It is not for a shipping line. It's not for customs. Once customs has been able to exact the duties meant for government, that is the end. So if we have to amend the laws, it must go through Parliament, so that you can also be a beneficiary of the surplus proceeds. Then finally, so what I'm going to say is this. Yes, there is a delay. We've all come out to realize some of the deficiencies of the administration of UCL. All we expect from you as stakeholders is coordination and a pure and clear, determined documentary process that must be shared with all stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Ms. Akote, you said the scenario you gave, the surplus should be given to the importer. It is the importer who did not make appearance. That is why you are auctioning. Why are you going to trace the importer to give the money to? The other aspect is that per the law, customs is okay, but outside the law, the rest of the stakeholders are not okay. The lines, the terminals, now the consolidators. Maybe we should all agree herein that they should, customs, before the auctioning person is giving the cargo, they should contact us. Those of us that they are owing, they should contact us and pay something to us. Because your law is not taking care of us, but we have expended resources. And the person who is coming to buy the auction good should do well to pay something to us. If not, the system, yes, the law is correct, but the system is not being fair to those of us who are also spending.
A very quick response to that because of time. I'm saying yes, there is a surplus proceeds after the auction has been conducted, goods bidded for, and then there is an excess over the reserve price. It is the importer who will have to apply within a period of 1 year, 12 months. If he comes to apply for it, fine, belongs to him or her. If it doesn't come, it's for the state. That is it. So, the issue of amending the laws or changing aspects of the laws or any input into the laws or the regulations will have to come from stakeholders. Now, I failed to talk about refunds. A gentleman mentioned issues about refunds during his earlier submission. I am the officer in charge of refunds. I am the officer in charge of exemptions. And I'm the officer in charge of imports and exports. Now, if you have any issue of refunds, could you please bring it up again? Just a quick reminder. Because I work very fast on refunds. Now the procedure for refunds, which we have is in the Act, Section 104. And then the regulations. 159. When you go there, you see the procedure for refund. When government introduced the upfront payment in 2017 March, before it was abolished September, there was this issue of refunds. And all those people who paid upfront and applied for refund had their refunds within a period of 1 month. It was a very simple thing. Now, with the customs processes for refunds, it requires that when you overpay, or for some reason, you know we have a customs principle, no consumption, no duty. For some reason, you couldn't consume, even though you have paid the duty, you are entitled to the refund. When you apply for the refund, you start the process from the point of payment. If it's a port of Tema, you go and apply to the commission sector commander. They will institute an investigation. Investigations will write a report, and it will be brought to us. The moment it gets onto my table, it's just a matter of going through to confirm whether indeed we are entitled to this refund. The only aspect of it is that you're going to lose 10% as administrative charges, and it will be refunded to you within the period of 1 month. So if you have a document with us, it has run for about 4 years. It's just unfortunate. Could you please bring it up? We'll review it and then well. Thank you very much. That is the order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm called Guy Tunlawe from GRA. My concern is about some of the causes of delays with the MDAs. Some MDAs are self-declarants, but when new policies are run out or are to be implemented, most of these self-declarants MDAs are not notified, or when they're even having meetings with the clearinghouse, customs clearinghouse agencies and other things to come out with those policies, most of us are not informed. And you process your document knowing that you are exempted for A, B, C, D. You get here, there's this new policy, and then you are hit, you are chopped. You have to go back and apply for an exemption. And it takes a long time. My friend there can bear me out. I've been to his office several times over the years when they started these new exemption policies. We went through back and forth, and finally we had a very smooth now running. We passed it through the GCN line, and then it goes through. So I want to suggest that when the new policies are being run out, or they're having discussions with the custom house agencies and all, they should also look for those MDAs that are self-declarant, inform them to be part of that mission, bring in their inputs so that they should also take it on board. Because I remember when they were at custom head office, I went to process a document about this renewal of declarants online. We're not informed. And when we went there, the guy even said, oh, you self-declarant, you were not taken into consideration when we were taking the issue. So I don't know what to do now. I have to consult my boss above. And it took some time before they were able to resolve the problem. Either cancel it or do something else for us to process our document. So I'm appealing that this is, it should be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other from the side?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to add to what the gentleman from VRA said, and I think I mentioned that in my speech. So, seeing as you're here finally, when these policies are being churned out, please, we have a very big platform as Shippers Authority. We interface with all the major stakeholders. So please keep us in the loop. We can provide a platform like this for discussions, because for him to go and then find out that self-declarants were not even thought about, and there's a hitch right there. So please, this is why we are created by law. We're a government agency. This is why we are here, and that is why we're relevant to all of these things. So please, when you're churning out the policies, think about us. We can provide the platform for us to deliberate, to ensure that all these things are taken into consideration. And Mr. Okshini, I notice he's not here for the vehicles. I think Customs can also put the information on their website. These days, I mean, we all going paperless. We don't need to put things in the newspapers. Once we go on your website, the data announced, we know when it is. If you're interested, you show up for the auction. So please consider that. Mr. Afote, Oyiwado.
For comprehensive statistics on Ghana's maritime industry, visit our website at www.shippers.org.gh. Point to publications and click on Maritime Trade Statistics.